Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Strike Urshifu VMAX with some new cards from Astral Radiance. We're going to be pairing it up with the new Hisuian Samurott VSTAR. And this is, I think, potentially like really good. There's just everything in this deck just works really well together, and works really well against the meta. And yeah, it's just like another iteration of Strike Urshifu. And yeah, it's based a lot on the list we have right now, the limit lists, or the list that was originally made by the Limitless crew with like the whole bunch of 1-0s and like the 2-2 Urshifu and then the Moltres and stuff. Except we're also running some Samurai V-Star in there as well, and this combo really nicely with Urshifu, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let's just hop straight into this. We're running with a 2-2 Rapture Urshifu line, of course. So the same as the list now, playing that 2-2 line of Rapture Urshifu. There's nothing really new to say here. J-Man's Rapid Flow is a good attack. Gale Thrust is a good attack. His weakness on Arceus. It's just all around really good card. Except the only bad thing about the card is that it is weak to Psychic, which means Mew VMAX will come in and one-hit KO you, which is not good. So the lists right now are employing Galarian Moltres, the baby one that can one-shot Mew if they've taken at least 3 prizes. Except in this list, we're also going to be running some Smaurott, Hisuian Samurott VSTAR, which is like a really solid VSTAR. And it has an attack and the VSTAR power ability. The attack for 2 Darkness Energy, so already slotting kind of into that Darkness package we already have in the Urshifu deck. It does 110 damage, and then if your opponent's active already has any damage counters on it, you do an additional 110 damage, which means you'll do 220 damage for 2 energy, which is really solid. And then the V-Star Power just lets you put 4 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So those are combo obviously really well together. If you use the V-Star Power on a Pokemon and then hit it with the attack, you'll be hitting them for 260 damage basically. And 260 is nothing to scoff at. 260 is a lot of damage. And of course we also have like Choice Belt to scale that. Quick Shooting Italian, Galarian Zigzagoon, things like that. So it's a really solid 1-hit KO option. We're running 2 copies of the V, and the V is not great, so we're not going to talk about him. I guess like the first attack on the V is okay. I'm pretty sure it's like Startling Megaphone for 1 Darkness Energy. It's like discard all tools attached to your opponent's Pokemon, I'm pretty sure. So that does, but it's just not a great attack and attacker, and it's here just to evolve into our V-Star. And of course, we're running the Intellion Engine, 4 copies of Sobble. And, this should not be any surprise. The 4 Sobble, 3 Drizzile, and then 1 Shady Dealings Italian and 1 Quick Shooting, which I'll lay down here in a minute. Let's see, 1 Shady Dealings, 1 Quick Shooting. And yeah, that's the those are like the main Pokemon that I could have a couple 1-0s that are pretty important. And I'll talk about those. Like, there's really not much more to say about Intellion. Intellion is just a really good consistency engine. And of course, the Quick Shooting can also get damage down for your Hisuian Samurott V-Star to make that guy do even more damage. So other things that we're running 1 copy of Galarian Zigzagoon, which can set up damage for our Samurott. Not only makes us do an additional 110 damage, it also is just 10 damage on its own, so essentially makes our Samurott, if we just ping the active, it'll make our Samurott essentially hit 230, which is really nice. And it can also be used to fix numbers with Urshifu, like you can ping Arceus with a big charm on it, and then Gale Thrust for 300, knock it out. Some stuff you can do with that. Like the Urshifu list now, we're only running 1 copy of Galarian Moltres, because we don't rely on Galarian Moltres as heavily as we used to. Because we have the Smaurott that will hit the Darkness weakness and can take some 1-shots as well. But Moltres is undeniably still a really solid card versus Mew and just versus the field, because it can hit some really big numbers later in the game. So we still want to run one of them, but it's just not as an integral part of the deck now. The last card we're running is 1 copy of Metacham B, and I think this is really what makes the Smaurott really shine in this deck. It's because there are Pokemon all over the place right now with 60 HP. You have the Thobbles, of course, the main one that is 60 HP. Dunsparce, so if you're playing against an Arceus deck that want to get down their Dunsparce, so your Urshifu will not want to KO them because of weakness. Well, we're going to have to get down that Dunsparce, and it has 60 HP, which means you can use the Samurott's V-Star power, snipe the Dunsparce for 40 damage, and look, it has 20 HP left, and we can just Yoga Loop that thing, get ourselves another turn. Houndour is another one that's kind of niche, but it still is out there. We can hit for the 40 damage with the V-Star power, and then Medicham and knock it out, get another turn. It makes Manaphy, knocking out Manaphy a ton easier, because we can just, V-Star power the Manaphy, Galarian Digimon it, and then Yoga Loop. And that's going to be getting rid of that Manaphy, enabling our G-Max Rapid Flow, and getting ourselves another turn. So I think Samurott V-Star really, it really makes the Medicham feel like it did when Urshifu first came out, or when Medicham came out, I should say. It was like, well, now Dex can't can't play Mew and just have a solid time versus Urshifu, because now if they're put down that Mew, you're just going to get another turn out of it. So there really is no great counter to the Urshifu now, kind of like when Medicham first came out with Mew with the bench barrier. And just now, right now, specifically, there's more widespread Pokemon low HP that we can just take even more advantage of than just like the Manaphy. We have some item cards for Quick Ball, for Level Ball, standard intelligence and stuff with our Search Outs. You really need to have them. And then 3 Evo Incense as well. So yeah, just once again, standard intelligence and stuff. Want to run almost max consistency. We don't need as many Evo instances as we do need the other ones that can search out for basics, because this deck's hardest time is setting up. If it doesn't set up, you don't win. That happens with every deck. If you don't set up, you don't win. But this one, more specifically, I think has an even harder time setting up than some of the other decks. So you need to get down multiple Sobbles, and then Urshifu and a Samurott, depending on the matchup, things like that. We're also running 3 Scuba Net, and this is a card I would consider going to 4th of, honestly. Scuba Net is just a really, really good card now. Or I shouldn't say now. It just is a good card with our Intelligent Engine. But it also works really nice with this Galarian Stigoon as well. And there's just a lot of really good uses for the Scuba Net. And I think if you want to cut something for the 4th, then that is definitely a solid choice. 2 copies of Energy Search. Once again, like the Earthfruit decks we have now, we want a way to shade dealings or our energy. Energy Search can get us our Darkness Energy, can get us our Fighting Energy. It's kind of like our Rainbow Energy, but it is also shady dealingsable. We can get that just right out of the deck, so we can get our exact type of energy exactly when we need it. We have somewhat one of item cards, 1 Energy Switch, because being able to energy switch off of a baby Moltres is nice. Just being able to energy switch onto an Urshifu just out of nowhere, get a Team Rapid Flow is just a really, really nice thing to be able to do. Might not use it that often, but it's definitely a really, really good option to have open. 1 copy of Palpad, because covering our supporters is important. We haven't even gone to the supporters yet. I usually put the supporters before the items, but oh well. So yeah, 1 copy of Palpad. 1 copy of Dark Patch. It's another great use for our energy switch, is we can Dark Patch onto a Samurott, and then just energy switch off of the Samurott onto our Urshifu. That's also used for you can just set up the Samurott without having to use Raihan. Just get both energies on there in one go without having to use Raihan, which can also come up in games as well. So Dark Patch is just a really, really good card now. And it also kind of does replace the Galarian Moltres V a little bit as well. 1 copy of Choice Belt. And this is because now you can G-Max Rapid Flow. You can hit an active for 150, and then weakness on an Arceus will hit 300. So you can G-Max Rapid Flow, knock out an active Arceus with weakness, and hit something else for 120. But it's also a lot more useful with our Samurott now, because now our Samurott will, if it has damage counters on it, assuming you have only 10 damage on there already for the Samurott, and then you just attach the Choice Belt, and then you're hitting 260 essentially with the Samurott. And that is a lot of damage. 260 damage is a crazy amount of damage for just 2 energy on a stage 1. That's really, really good. It's really, really easy to set up too in this deck, especially because we have our Intelligent Engine and we already kind of want to get damage counters on things for Urshifu. We can just G-Max Rapid Flow and just say, okay, now I just kill you, Samurott. That's just that. And the last item card we have, which might be kind of funky, but I think it's really does make a lot of sense, and I think it's really, really good, is 1 copy of Super Effective Glasses. And if you don't know what this card does, I'm not surprised. I was seeing a little bit of attention, but not much. Essentially what it says is when the Pokemon that's attached to hits weakness on your opponent's active, you apply weakness as ×3 instead of ×2. So this just means now you can G-Max Rapid Flow and knock out a fighting weak VMAX like a Gengar or something. It essentially acts as another choice belt versus the Arceus. So Arceus, if you have the choice belt, like I mentioned, you hit them for 150, then weakness 300. Well, this, you just attach that, and now you hit them for 120 with the Rapid Flow active, and then weakness 360. It's also really, really necessary for beating Mew, because the Mew has a fusion energy, which means that you can't, your abilities don't affect the Pokemon that fusion energy on, which means you can't use your Galarian Zigzagoon or your Inteleon to put damage counters on them to knock them out with the Samurott with weakness. So you have to either catch one that has a double turbo energy on, or use the V-Star power on it when it doesn't have the fusion energy on it, like really early in the game. Or you can attach the super effective glasses to your Samurott, and now instead of your attack hitting 110 with no damage counters on the active already, and then weakness 220, it's hitting weakness 330, and that's knocking out a Mew VMAX. That's really, really useful there. And then we're also running one Stadium card, and that's going to be one copy of Tower of Waters. Just because Tower of Waters is a really, really solid card. It lets you pull off Cheryl plays, lets you pull off like Cheryl plus Gale Thrust plays, lets you pull off Yoga Loop, Metachamp plays a lot easier. You can switch one to your Pokemon a lot easier. Tower of Waters is just a really, really good card. And now our supporters. We're kind of going back to like the old days of the Urshifu deck when it first won Liverpool with all the one-ohs. Supporters are all one-ohs. There's no 2-of or 3-of supporters. That's good. We're having one research because we need to draw. Like sometimes we just need that burst of draw, and research just does just that. Boss, because Boss is a really, really good card. Kalara to help us pull out those Moltres plays just a little bit easier. Raihan, because that's useful for pulling out G-Max Rapid Flow plays. It's useful for setting up our Samurotts a little bit easier too. One Cheryl, because Cheryl is just a good card for healing our Urshifu. We can also heal our Samurott now too, which is a little bit interesting as well. Like maybe we can like Cheryl our Samurott and then like Shady Dealings for our Dark Patch onto a bench to energy switch it active, and then attach the energy again, and then you can just fully heal your Samurott. And then you also just get all the energy back on there. And it's actually not unreasonable with like big Shady Dealings in Inteleon. Excuse me, Inteleon as well. And then we have one copy of Cynthia's Ambition, because Draw 2 of 8 is just really, really good, especially when you have a couple like little single price Pokemon like our Sobbles getting knocked out early. Cynthia's Ambition can be nice for, once again, just like a big burst of draw if we need it. We have one copy of, put that up here, one copy of Avery, which says draw 3 cards, and then your opponent has to discard their bench to lay 3. And this is good, like, once again, seeing play in Urshifu decks even now. Forcing your opponent to discard, like, a decent amount of Pokemon, because, like, if you're playing up against an Arceus deck, like an Arceus Inteleon deck, that has, like, their Manaphy and their Dunsparce down, they're not going to have many things they want to discard. They'll often just have to discard 2 Shady Dealings Pokemon, either like Sobble or Dressels, which is really, really good just to force them to do that. And even up against decks that don't have the Intelligent Engine, or, well, here's what I'm going to cough here. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick right now. Even up against decks that don't like have the Dunsparce and Manaphy, still forcing them to discard 1 or like 2 Pokemon, or no, just still forcing them just to discard 1 Pokemon is really, really good in combination with G-Max Rapid Flow that can still just remove things from the boards. Like you can, Avery plus G-Max Rapid Flow is a really, really good combination that just puts so much pressure on your opponent, especially if their deck relies on the little single price Pokemon like the Sobbles and the Dressels. And our last one of supporter is one copy of Piers. It searches your deck for any energy card, so you can get your Rapture energies, which is the main reason we're going to play it. But it also searches for a dark Pokemon, and I think searching for a dark Pokemon now has a lot more value when you have Samurott. Excuse me. Because Samurott, you don't have to attack a Samurott, just getting it out and having it threaten the V-Star power is really, really nice. Yeah, even if you're not attacking with the Samurott, just getting it out and having it there, the V-Star power, really, really good. So Piers can help us set up that Samurott just a little bit easier, as well as find our Rapture energies. Then our energy, 3 Rapture energy, like I was just talking about, 5 Darkness energy, and then 2 Fighting energy. And the energy lineup is really similar to the Urshifu decks we have now. Honestly, this deck is really, really similar to the Urshifu decks we have now, just like adding in a little bit of the Smaurott package. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.